So I'm sitting in my office the other day and Kevin, the president of Sky Helicopters, comes up to me and says, "Hey man, can you fly a drone?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, sure, of course." "Can you fly it over hundreds of wealthy people inside a packed helicopter hangar at one of Canada's busiest regional airports?" "I mean, sure." "Okay, well, can you do it all in one take from start to finish?" "No problem, I've got this." In this video, we're going to tell you how we shot an FPV One Take video with the DJI Avata 2 at the Sky Elevate charity event. So stick around to find out if we were able to create the shot of our dreams or did things end in disaster. First off, what is an FPV One Take? A One Take is when an FPV drone flies through a choreographed scene to create a seamless video without any cuts. These shots require an immense amount of practice, skill, and coordination, all things I don't necessarily always have. And of course, in this circumstance, we're under the gun and the event was only a couple days away. So what was the shot? Well, it's an FPV fly through of a charity event for the Canucks Autism Network at the Sky Hangar, which is also our helicopter hangar that runs events. It was a fundraiser with the Top Gun theme, and we were asked to do an FPV One Take shot of the event. We wanted to start the video going from outside and going through the front entrance into the hangar, but really what that meant is we're going to need NAV Canada approval since the drone we were going to use, the Avata 2, is over 250 grams, and we're operating literally at an airport with controlled airspace. Given that we had like 7 days notice, we requested permission from NAV Canada almost right away. Radio silence, nothing. The event was creeping up on us, and without their permission, we wouldn't be able to fly the Avata 2 outside. So we kind of had to scramble a little bit, and we decided first to start the Avata 2 flights from inside the building, since then the Canadian aviation regulations wouldn't apply. We would only have a couple tries at this before the actual event happens, and a few big names are going to be there, so we had to have everything locked in well in advance. Why did we use the DJI Avata 2 for this shot? And why did we use a consumer level drone for potentially a professional shot? The Avata 2 is super safe when you fly it near people due to its built-in prop guards. And so in the event something were to happen, the drone likely wouldn't cut anyone or necessarily get tangled in someone's hair unless they were like Cher or something, I don't know. We're gonna fly it in regular GPS mode as well, and that's one of the reasons we chose the Avata, so we wouldn't have to worry about maintaining altitude or having the drone drift around constantly. The camera can shoot it up to 4K in 100 frames a second, and it's pretty good quality, like it can shoot in log. But we'll talk more about that later on here. And also, the Avata is pretty robust and would be resistant to a sudden gust of wind, which would put our nerves at ease, at least for a little bit during the flight. So how did we get ready for this event? Basically, under the assumption that we'd be flying outside at the airport, we did a formal site survey. And like I said, we submitted our controlled airspace request to NAV Drone. We didn't really need much in terms of altitude or distance because in reality, we weren't going more than 100 feet above ground. And really, we're only doing like 2 or 3 seconds of the shot outdoors. Like I said, the submission went unanswered on NAV Drone. We decided that the outdoor stuff would be done with a micro drone, the Mini 4 Pro. And it would be launched within the boundaries of our hangar property. And in turn, I also gave our local NAV Canada manager a heads up to our intentions and made sure that they're aware where the drone would be and that it would absolutely not be a hazard to any manned aircraft during its flight. The other reason that we planned for the Mini 4 Pro to be used for the outdoor is the camera that's in it is very similar to the Avata 2. So we got on site and we did practice runs a few times in the empty hangar, which is like a white glossy floor, so that's also a challenge. And then again, once equipment was installed for the event, before any of the attendees got there, we flew it again over and over again to make sure that there wasn't any risks or any surprise obstacles like wires or cables. By doing that, it gave us a chance to make sure also that any unlocking or geofencing at the time was sorted out, as we were in a blue zone, and what that means is the drone could potentially stop flying if it got a GPS lock halfway through the flight, and that would cause tons of problems for us. Like we'd have a frozen drone in the middle of the air. And finally, I made sure to configure the camera into a manual 4x3 mode with D-Log enabled at 4K resolution, so we'd have the sharpest and most dynamic range image possible for the shoot, knowing that we'd have to take care of image stabilization after the fact so that we'd have as much of the original image, like a full sensor readout, as possible. So some other things we did to get ready is we coordinated with the event organizer to make sure that they knew that the drone would be flying, when it would be flying, and that they would announce it to all the attendees so that everyone was aware to not look at the drone and to not freak out that there's a drone over top of them. And then basically we spent a lot of time practicing to kill any anxiety before the shoot so that my fingers wouldn't be tense and that everything would be smooth and predictable. As people rolled in and the event got going, the anticipation, of course, started to build rapidly. Did we prepare enough? How are people going to react when they see a drone in the air? Do we really have enough skill to pull this off? I strapped on my goggles, I booted up the controller, and we went for it. So through the night, we flew the drone actually twice to capture the energy of the event at 2 different parts of the evening, and also to make sure we had a good safety shot. Never do a one and done. And then later in the evening, we got the Mini 4 Pro out and grabbed the exterior shots once the helicopters had finished flying for the night, so as not to even come close to potentially conflicting with real aircraft in the area. I asked Steph, who you've seen on the channel before, the pilot of one of the helicopters, to keep her helicopter running on the ground for an extended period so we could capture the blades turning in one of the shots as the drone backed away and then came back in towards the hangar, so it looked pretty cool. After everything was over, it seemed like the event went pretty smoothly, or at least that's what I thought before I got home and started uploading the footage. I realized that I'd shot everything in 1080p in default settings in default 8-bit muddy color. I broke my own rule. You've probably heard me talk about this hundreds of times. Never update the firmware on your drone right before an important flight. Let's talk about what I did right, and then we'll talk about what I did wrong. We'd use the right drone that would make it easy for us to operate in a high stress environment, and it enabled us to focus more on getting the shot rather than controlling the drone. We flew slow and steady, and we left plenty of space between us and any obstacles or people. Obviously it worked out because there was no crashes, no tears, no hair, no drone wigs combined. We did lots of practice runs before anyone got there to look for potential problems or challenges, right? We did as much as we could to mitigate risks beforehand. We alerted everyone about the flight and made sure ahead of time that there would be no surprises and that no one would be staring at the drone as it's flying overhead, wondering what's going on and ruining the effect of the invisible camera. I flew the drone in normal mode rather than manual to keep it as smooth and as predictable and as stress-free as possible. I can fly a drone in manual mode, but I don't want to do it around hundreds of people when I'm not that kind of a drone expert. The reality is I know my limitations, and flying manual around people is definitely one of them. And even though it was a hectic environment, we were able to focus and fly the drone safely and smoothly, especially considering things were constantly changing around us. There was smoke and strobes and music and everything. It was crazy. What went wrong during this? If you do update the firmware, you have to triple check the camera settings before the flight, as the camera will default back to whatever its basic settings are. In this case, 1080p, basic color. What's wild though is I should have noticed because the screen went from 4:3 to 16:9 when it reset the default. And what that meant is we weren't filming in 4K, so the image quality wasn't as good as it could have been coming out of the camera, especially since this footage was also meant to mesh in with other 4K footage that was shot in log format on like an $8,000 cinema camera. What else did we learn? Well, if time allows, we request permission from NavDrone as early as possible, weeks potentially, to leave room for account for any delay in the initial plan. And now that the Neo exists, another option would be to use it, as it's the only 135 grams. It's a micro drone and it can be flown in FPV with the goggles. But honestly, the camera isn't nearly even close to what the Avata can be, so it would be dramatically worse, even than basic settings of Avata. What I'd probably do now is consider building a custom sub 250 gram tiny whoop based on the DJI O4 Air unit, which is pretty much the same as the Avata 2 camera with the new Pro version. You wouldn't have stabilization and you wouldn't have that automatic GPS flight capability at that weight class. So there is going to be some challenges there on that side. So even though the shoot might not have gone exactly how we planned or hoped, we're pretty happy with the results and definitely want to do more of them. Have you ever attempted to fly an FPV One Take? Let us know in the comments down below. Now that you've seen how much fun it is to fly FPV, you're probably wondering, where and how can I even get started? Well, we've got a podcast episode for you where we interview Ignacio Romero, a professional FPV drone pilot and builder, and he goes over how a beginner can get started and what opportunities there are out there for aspiring drone pilots. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Fly safe.